The first 5 came up, they said they seen smoke, and they had never seen smoke from dawn, from nighttime through morning. So they were curious. So that's when they came up and found Richard there on the property. And they were only there 24 hours. So, yeah.
One more. What church? I'm just kind of curious. Was he maybe a Quaker? Was there any mention of?
I don't remember any mention of Richard's. It was and stuff. Yes.
Was that the Dragoon Trail, 33?
It doesn't call it that. It's, I think it was in some way, but it's there. It's not. You know, they say Goshen, the Goshen Trail, but it's because Goshen was, you know, established up that way. There was something up there, but they said when he come up, he said he was going up, and he said all of a sudden there's a fork, and then he said the road went this way, and he says this is going to be the intersection. This is going to be a major hub of 2 trails. I mean, what I understand, and the surveyor probably can tell you that what I've been told in my history was man-made roads. You can tell which ones are man-made and which ones are Indian trails. The more curvy, Indian trails. Straighter, man-made. So, State Road 5, excuse me, that's a winding road and stuff. And Indian Village is where they were at and stuff.
On 5, right? The
Yeah.
area on 5?
Yep, yep. Yeah, they were out 5 miles south there. And, you know, one book says when they went to Ligonier, to the creek for the strawberries and stuff, it took them 3 hours to go that short distance. And, you know, then they go to Fort Wayne, basically to downtown Fort Wayne where the fort was, 3 days by wagon. And it says in there they had to cross one creek. Well, that's basically south of Wolf Lake. And luckily, when Richard went through the first time, it was dry. But now we know that, you know, that it was swampy area. Yeah, good.
Do you know how many of his siblings came with him
None.
to this area?
One sister did come. We know that, yes, we know.
Margaret.
Huh?
Margaret.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it was the only one that we know of that came, and she's actually buried in Kimball, behind the church and stuff. Yeah, so, anyway. Well, it's like one of the, you know, we do our heartside dinners. We met Richard's great, I think it's 4, maybe it's 5 granddaughter. She's 90-some years old. Her great-granddaughter knew Richard was from our area. So she searched it, found us, and she contacted us, and she brought her great-grandmother down to our heartside dinner. And that's how we know about the book, about being burnt, because she told us that, you know, that was what was being passed through the generations, that the family thought he was not noble because he was a saloon keeper, so they wanted to burn the book. And thank God they didn't, so. Yes?
With his diaries of leaving Pennsylvania, would he have utilized the National Road, or was it just Blazing Trail?
It was a road, it was a trail. It was,
I didn't know if it was
yeah,
National Road or not.
well,
Whatever the best road was.
yeah, I mean, Gainesville is one of the towns he stopped at, and Columbus.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, and it says that, you know, he, an Indian agent ran by, you know, Colonel Johnson was in a town, Pique. That's the town that Mary, or Mother Susan, they call it, because Susan was daughter, but Susan was his mother, Paul's name. Barb was his mother's name. They went through Fort Recovery area, through around the Wabash River. And they really only stayed, it says only a couple days in Fort Wayne, just enough to get everything set up for the training and stuff. Because he just set the Indians down and said, it says, take these down, trade with these people for fair price, and then I need this, this, and this, and this. Get what you need to get, and bring back about what, money and stuff. They brought, it says they brought 2 sheep, 2 goats, and 2 large oxen, is what he brought out of Fort Wayne. When he left there, that's what he purchased before he moved up. And it does say, every Sunday, they stopped no matter what, it was God's day. They did service, if they were in a town, they would go to the local service church. If they weren't, they had their own service. Yes?
Do we know what the final destination of the journal was, or is?
No. Yeah.
You mentioned he bought a warrant for the land. Who did he buy it from? He said it was in Philadelphia.
In
right?
Philadelphia.
So who did he buy it
From the government.
And was it just for 160 acres that he had to blaze?
Yes.
And then what happened? What was the next step? Did he patent it or?
No, it basically, everybody thinks it was a grant. They said it's different than a grant. A grant says you get 160 acres of this area, everything. A warrant basically says you have 160 acres, you just have to go claim it. So what he did is claim it, and when he does, then he claimed it and marked it off, then he had to take it to Fort Wayne and have it deeded. Because Fort Wayne actually, when he first came here, Fort Wayne wasn't the seat. Terre Haute was the seat of northern Indiana. That's where, way down there, up here. But Fort Wayne came to it, and that's when, that's the problem. We can't figure out some of the stuff because everything is in different counties or different areas. So, we're not sure. But yeah, it was, he did that. The 10-year trapper's license were renewed. It was a $50 thing. Every 10 years, he'd have to renew it and stuff. Yes, ma'am.
What you were just describing, the government owned it, was this considered the Homestead Act?
Basically, that's what it was. I mean, it was free land, well, not free, you paid $2 an acre, so you $320 for the property and the $50 for the license.
I was just curious, how much the house cost in Fort Wayne?
No, the house that we lived on Trace, most of it was built right there by him, machine or, built there. I mean, I've seen inside the walls and it's all rust on. I mean, when I have to repair something, I have to take and mill down stuff because even when Richard Warren, Doc Warren was one of the founding fathers for us, and then he did one of the fireplaces, and he was a veterinarian in Ligonier, and one time we were having dinner with his family and stuff, celebrating his birthday, and his one son says that Dad would go out on veterinary calls to the farms and stuff, and he wouldn't come back for a few hours. Well, come to find out, he was down at Trace putting stones on a fireplace that they built, and kind of found out none of them knew how to build a fireplace, but they did. And this next year is our 50-year anniversary for the festival. One of the things I was wanting to do is there's several people, I mean, we've got a list of everybody that was there when this organization started, and I want one of our members to write a little article about each of our founding members that Trace does. Trace is, any historical site will tell you, it's a dying breed. It's a dying art. With Civil War, people are having problems getting people. We have problems getting help. Before I came here, I mow the yard. I'm the president, I do maintenance, I do the yard. Our festival's next week. We have 2 days of living history for kids. We've got the Syracuse school, 4th graders coming over, Central Noble's 4th graders, and West Noble's coming over in 2 different days, on Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday is festival. I'll be there at 5 in the morning on Saturday until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Saturday night. Depends on how long it takes to count the money. My wife's the treasurer. Our chairman, Vicki Becker, was our old treasurer. She helped count, and we count. And it takes anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to count our festival money. And then the next morning, get back up and do it all over again. And it's, the log cabin that's on our ground was donated to us by the Graham family out of Auburn, Indiana. It was built in around 1870, south of Ashley. And 10 years ago or so, they approached us to take it. I told them no. They approached us a year later. Our secretary says, went to the regulator side, the black powder side of us, and Dad, who was president at the time, says, yes, we'll take it down, we'll bring it over and set it up. That was the worst donation I ever had. It's finally, we've got the floor in it, the chimney, and the fireplace. This year's it's our feature. It's not gonna be 100% done, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work to keep the place up and running. That tree that we took down, that was like $3,000, and the damage on the building, insurance gave us basically $3,500, but we can manage to fix it with that amount of money, because they look at it and says, well, it's an old building, depreciation. I said, it's also on the National Register, it has to be old. I mean, the windows are wood. I just replaced the windows and had an Amish build wooden sash windows at $120 a window, and then fix the frames and stuff, build down 2x10s and into the right length and width and stuff to get it fixed. But we have to keep that like that. You can stop thinking Richard did all that back himself, with an axe, a saw, hand saw, a plane, hand planer and all that stuff. And the time the tavern, there was probably a mill, and what we've been told the nearest mill was Wolf Lake had a mill. So more likely they milled up a lot of the lumber for him and stuff. Yes.
Being a tavern and such, was it also like a hotel? I mean, I guess.
Yeah. It was everything. It wasn't so much, it was his house. He had his cabin. The dog trough, the dog trough was the 2 cabins with the walk in between. He had that. He had a couple wikis that he had. So when people would stay, they'd stay in the other buildings, but they also would stay upstairs. There's basically 4 rooms upstairs. 1 big room, and that was what they would use as the sleeping area. You just threw down a blanket, and that was your bed. And then there was 3 other bedrooms that they would use for themselves. Downstairs, there's 2 rooms. One is the men's side, one is the women's side. Because when the men would go in and do drinking, the women would go on the other side to do their drinking, but different way. And gossip. So there's the women's parlor, there's the men's parlor. Our backside, we added a kitchen. They said they found the foundation that there was an addition on the backside at one time. A couple of the people that helped to start it back then, Geraldine Blue, Doc Warren, said they can remember playing in it when they were kids. When you come over, if you come over to Trace, come into the tavern, there's pictures. And you cannot believe what it looked like and what it is now. I mean, you'd see, there was a window there, there was a door there. The one side has the original floors from when we took over, there was a floor there. The other side has been built. But there were some spots that it was a hole looking outdoors. They said when they got the 3 acres donated, you couldn't even see the tavern from 5. It was overgrown. I guess they took a tractor and started plowing through, and this was like in the winter time, plowed through. One of the members' wife, she took ribbon and ripped around all the trees that she wanted to save. So some of our trees are from the 1960s. Where we've got pictures, you can see they were real small, not like this big. We are losing trees. In 2020, we lost 14 trees from the storm and stuff, and we are planting trees. And it's, like I said, it's a long history of life, and I am doing my best to keep it going. I'm not the youngest member. I'm 53. Vicki is 51 or 52, and then Laura is her sister, and she's 48, 49. Basically, we are the youngest ones. And so, yes.
I won't stop asking questions.
You're fine.
I'll show my ignorance. I know John Chapman, Johnny Appleseed, came through and evidently is he buried in Fort Wayne or something around there?
I think so. We have a guy that does Johnny Appleseed at our festival, and you know it's actually pre our date. With the regulators, they do basically from the 1790s to 1840, and we do 1820 to 1870. Technically 1860s when we should have stopped this when Richard left, but.
Now, with those apple trees, did they have some hard cider?
Doesn't say anything about that, I bet you, and he did have some, 'cause that's the 2 wikis he had when his first house. One was his house, and then he had a little patch, and the other side was his workshop. So during the summer, he'd fill it up with wood, so he'd have dry wood for fire. Well, then he also built the plows and all of his foundry and all that stuff in there. That's where he did his work. He was very good with his hands. And I know that's, something that happened back then. I mean, my grandfather went through the Depression, and he taught my dad that you had to know a little of everything. How to do plumbing, carpentry, stuff like that. My dad passed it on to me. And that was something back then too. Richard had to know how to forge, how to cut, and all that stuff. So
When restoring, do you have to research techniques, or is it approved?
yes, we do everything. Like our festival is 100% period correct. Clothes-wise, we try our best. I mean, we were talking about that the other night. Our boots, our shoes are not, because people can't, but we try to do our best. All the cooking, everything we cook is open fire, all wood. I did onion rings for several years, and people said, can't you turn it up fast? I said, it's one speed only. And, it gets so hot, the oil gets so hot, I'd have to throw onions in it just to cool it down. And we do bread. Vicki does 100 loaves over the weekend, and it's in a fire brick oven. And, we do the forge on the old style forge. Chuck Sweeney does apple butter. And first time he did apple butter was 48 years ago. He started with apples. By Saturday night, Sunday morning, he was still stirring because it wasn't apple butter. So it took him forever. So the next year, he cheated the system. Bought applesauce. Marched from there, because it cut out half the thing. And that's something, Chuck and Jan Sweeney is one of our oldest members, and my vice president and my secretary. The first year they came to the festival, they were spectators. Very first festival they ever had. Second year, second festival, they're members. You know, we only have one of the original members living. Roger Heinzman is the only one still alive, and he's 90-some years old. This year I've not seen him, but he's an Abe Lincoln fan, and he is diehard to us, and I'm thinking he's healthy. I haven't had a chance to find out, just since I've talked to him lately, but last year he was there, and he tagged our brochures and passed them out places, and I'm just thinking, he's, you know, but he's the last of the original members, and that's saying a lot, because we had, I think there was 100 when it started in 1964. Yes, sir.
In one of the upstairs rooms in the tavern, there was a place where the plaster was off, so you could see how they split laugh underneath. Is that still open?
Yes, that one up, there's one upstairs, and there's also one in the men's parlor downstairs. Go in the front door to the left, we have to shut the door, and it's right there and stuff. That's a neat thing, and that's a piece to talk about. And our Heartside dinner, I do basically some of this stuff, and Richard Stone gets, people start getting off and say, hey, how's festival, how's this? And I tell everybody, so we try to stay on a little strip, but as soon as they start doing that, we're gone. You know, we're back to modern, you know, it's just, you know, people want to know about festival stuff and the building, and we do the fireplace. That thing can put out some heat, that's for sure. Them fireplaces can heat that house.
Is that still original or no?
The fireplaces are not.
No, okay.
No, there was nothing left. They knew, they found the foundation, and several members built them, and you know, they are nice and workable and stuff. And they're all, I think, 100% rock. Now, the one we put in the cabin is not. It's brick and all that stuff, and then I'm facing it with rock and stuff. And that's not any fun job to do.
Any other questions? I want to thank you for coming this evening and presenting Stone's Trace to us, and also presenting what you're going to do next weekend there. For those of you that this is a good topic for you, you might want to move on down there next weekend to his
49th festival. I mean, it's,
that's going to be there.
I pushed it to 49 because technically this will be the 48th since we had COVID.
Yeah. So that's where you're at. Please take time to fill out your evaluations that are on your chairs and turn them in to us back there. And also in your programs that you picked up tonight, the last page are our speakers for tomorrow. And remember that it's out at WACF, which is on 13 south of town. Follow around there, and it's from 10 to 12. And all 6 speakers are there all the time, and you just sort of wander around and talk to whichever ones you want to. They do some little presentations, but they also just want to answer your questions about, you know, what their topic is that they know. The other thing is, if you have any artifacts, we mentioned this last night, any artifacts that have been found here, you can bring those along, and we have one person that's going to be there tomorrow that can help evaluate where those came from, perhaps, and maybe, you know, what their meaning is for around here if you found those. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for being here. Some of you tomorrow out at WACF.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
My cousin and I came to listen to you speak because Richard Stone is our 4th great grand uncle.
Okay.
Good.
Margaret is our 3rd great grandma.
Okay.
And that's why I asked the question, because I couldn't remember how many came, when
See,
they came.
Aaron Tipton?
Yes.
In Central Noble?
Yes,
Is
Yes.
that through your side?
yes.
Okay. I know Aaron, he comes to our dinner a couple times, and that's how we flirt. He could actually come to the dinner that the one from Chicago came down, and they had nice talking.
So it was very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Aye.